Alright guys, continuing this tutorial series, I'm going to start with the ambient occlusion pass on this. We want to bake the shadows. We're going to use the tool in Maya that you can get to by hitting, I have it set up for F6 I think, or maybe function F6 depending on how your keyboard's set up, but it's in the lighting and shading. We're going to use this batch bake option. It actually says something different, mental rate baking options when you get it open. First we have to realize that we're only doing half of this model, but we want the benefit of all of it being there, so that when the rays of in the ambient occlusion, which is going to give us our shadows, when those rays are cast, they're hitting the full form, which isn't represented here. This is like half the form and a few faces. So what we have to do is duplicate this guy. Let's just select this new half. We're going to delete all of these faces that are in the extra piece that we've got. And we're definitely going to delete all of these. That should be good. And I'm just in isolate mode. I just selected that guy and hit Shift I. So now I'm gonna, with everything deselected, I'm gonna hit Shift I again. I'm gonna go to the full guy, and now you'll see we have the full model represented with no duplicated faces there. And we want to, maybe that shading I'm getting is because this has always been, let me just mess with this duplicate here. I think I've got border edges turned on, don't I? Yeah, let's turn that off. I really don't know what's up with those, that slight shading that I'm seeing up there. Hopefully it'll clear itself up. All right, I'm gonna back up and move this guy back over here. All right, for rendering this, we're gonna go to Hypershade, which is in Windows Rendering Editors, Hypershade. We're going to pick Surface Shader, and that is in the, seems to be in my main thing, but it's also in the surface category. So it's in the main Maya as well. That's just a filtered list of surfaces. And then we need to go down to textures and find this Maya MIB Ambient Occlusion. We're going to click that as well. And I'm just going to get these organized. This, my MIB Ambient Occlusion is actually going to go into the surface shader. I believe it's, if you hold Control and middle mouse drag this, you'll make, yeah, that's right. You'll make a connection here. I'm going to go ahead and save. And I'm going to double click on this MIB Ambient Occlusion. I'm going to turn the samples up to, I turn it up to 256. I've been kind of playing with this over the past day. I think sometimes less samples, like if it's a little sloppier, it actually looks a little better. I mean, we're not trying to go for like a realistic thing. We're just trying to go for something really soft. And sometimes it's when it's a little splotchy, it gives you a little bit of something that's, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but it's pretty, I like how it is. It's pretty effective. So I'm going to turn the spread up as well. It's going to allow it to reach a little further when the shadows are sort of casting. And I'm going to save it again. And what I want to do is I just want to put this surface shader onto the half of the model that we're going to use as like the source. The other half is just there, as I said before, to catch light and allow it to just be there to hit the light off of it so that we can get a good bake. So I'm going to middle mouse drag that, and it should look just like that on yours. Just everything that's got the ambient occlusion is going to be black now. Bring up our render settings and go ahead and change it to mental ray. And you can, with mental ray selected, you can just go ahead and render and see what it's going to look like with that shadow on it, the shading on it. So you're going to see the texture that I have there for that, but then on the other side you're going to see exactly what the ambient occlusion is going to look like. So it looks pretty good. I can't really complain with that. Nice and soft. All right, I can close that out. I'm just going to leave this up here, or you can pause it as well, but these are the settings that I've been using. I know the tutorial that I found on it's game-artist.net originally had light and color selected for this stuff. I found that occlusion's pretty nice. So, and I'm not, I'm not an expert at this. I just know that I've banged my head on it enough times that it produces the results I like. So this over here may actually be redundant to what I'm doing over here. I just haven't messed with it off with just a regular shader. So anyway, I'm gonna set it to 512, 0.900. So like I was saying, that may override the 256. Let me just turn it down to 256. I'm gonna do 1024 map for this guy, both in my UV, and everything should match, but we want to go higher resolution in case we need it anywhere down the road. I think I'm just going to leave the samples at 1. And this is pretty important here. You're going to end up with some aliasing on the edges if you don't make sure it bleeds outside of these boundaries, if you keep it really tight. And I'm not sure, this may be dependent on, this may just be pixel distance. I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and hit convert and pause the video because this is going to take a few seconds. You definitely want to have this object selected when you do this. It's going to bake the selected object. Everything else looks good, and we'll come back and I'll show you what the results are. All right, guys, the ambient occlusion bake is done. I'm just going to take a quick look at it. The first thing I notice is I've got an interesting, this face right here is really prominent in the bake. Looks like a box, the end of a box. We've also got some creases here from where our UV seams are. It's a little less than ideal. I'm going to go ahead and go into edge mode, and I'm going to see if I can show I'm going to toggle the soft hard edge display and see what's up with this. This should really probably be a rounded edge here, and these are all soft. So I think that's affecting this a bit. I really think this face, and grow it and then turn it to the edges. Actually, that was probably, let's see if I can just do contained edges. Is that any better? Yeah. I need to soften all of these. Soften these. Because you just think of this as a rounded shape. So these should show as dash lines now. Yep. So I probably should have done that all along. The ambient occlusion is going to be pretty unforgiving with that kind of thing. So I'm going to go through here and do a quick audit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll show you the final result, but you don't have to sit here and watch me do this. So I'll resume the video once I'm done with this. All right, guys, I'm back. I've got still have my edges toggled on here. I think I have all of them. Let me just check. It looks like I've got one up here that's not. No, they're all soft. Ah, there we go. I just wasn't zoomed in far enough. So it looks like I've got everything with these. Just selected an edge loop, did an edge ring, and then did the soften. So I got the bottoms, I got the top, the flat planes. None of those should be hard edges because they're all one smooth surface. Looks like I did miss one right here. All right, so that should be good. Gonna pause it again, and I'll come back when I'm finished baking this. Just gonna go back in here and start this. So I'll be right back.